and welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. We've got a lot on our plate this morning. It is a Sporting Wednesday, and we are here to tell you all about sports, and also we know how we normally do it on the show. We talk about our own. We start with Nigerian stories before we move to Europe, and that is where we'll begin this morning. We'll start with the boxing story, where it's a good news for Nigeria and the British people right now. Anthony Joshua will once more have a shot of winning the third IBF title at the World, that is International Boxing Federation belt against Dubas come September 21st, 2024, right there in Wembley, Wembley in England. The truth is, right now, the undisputed champion for the first time in quite a number of years, that is Alexander Usyk, steps aside for Joshua versus Daniel Dubois IBF title fight, which is a good one. Like I said, that fight will be coming up at Wembley Stadium on September 21st, 2024 in England. And for Anthony Joshua, if he eventually wins that fight, he will be winning that title for a record third time. And since Anthony Joshua lost back-to-back to this Ukrainian monster, he has been able to win all of his three fights. The last one was against our own West African neighbors, that is Cameroon, Francis Ngannou. In the second round of that fight, Joshua was victorious, which is a good news. But as it stands right now, and Joshua has been ranked second behind Usyk in the WBC ranking, and he beat Tyson Fury to that second spot, and he's now having he's having that opportunity to regain momentum to go back to the top. If eventually beats Daniel Dubois in that particular fight come September 21st. And let me quickly say this: congratulations to Anthony Joshua for getting this opportunity again to go back to the heavyweight, to go back to that that position where he used to be in the heavyweight division. Daniel Dubois is the challenger, and that fight will be coming up on September 21st. 2024. We are happy that Anthony Joshua is gradually getting back, gaining that momentum back, getting back to where he used to be. He's a very fierce fighter, and we know Anthony Joshua. We love him for who he is. He's a Nigerian despite they call him Nigerian British born, but we know that he has a Nigerian root, that Nigerian origin from Ogun State precisely, and we are happy that Anthony Joshua will be having this particular fight against Daniel Dubois, who is also talking tough ahead of this particular challenge, ahead of this particular fight. So it's a good one that Anthony Joshua is getting this opportunity to get back to that particular IBF title, that is the International Boxing Federation heavyweight title, and now he's going to be fighting Daniel Dubois for that particular bet. So it's a good, like I said, it's a good thing. It's a good news that he is ready to go, and he is ready to take on Daniel Dubois. I don't. Okay, we have Dan Adaminsiga from Mina joining us on the show this morning. Dan, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV.
Good morning, and thanks very much for having me on the show this morning.
All right, let's start with boxing. Anthony Joshua now having the opportunity after the Ukrainian giving way for that fight to happen, the IBF title against Daniel Dubois, September 21st. That fight will be coming up.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's mandatory that we have to see us relinquish one of those titles, and I think one of the least fanciful title is the IBF actually to him, and I think that is why he's relinquishing that, because it's mandatory that for him to have fight, he is supposed to have fought Daniel Dubois. But as it stands, he has another challenge coming up in the clause that he has to fight Tyson Fury on the 21st of December in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So to prepare for that fight, he has to relinquish one of the belts, so that that is to make him hold out two of the belts, that is WBO and WBA right now. He's still going to be holding on to those two belts. But as it stands now, this fight is an opportunity. Should I use the word lifeline for Anthony Joshua to relaunch back his career? As it stands now, Daniel Boy is actually entering into the ring as one of the interim champion right now. He's entering in there as the interim champion. So what that implies is that by the protocol of boxing, Anthony Joshua must have to step into the ring first before. But that is not even the issue. The issue is that looking at these two young men, we have Anthony Joshua, our own age, 34 years, a total of 28 fights. 32 fights, won 28, lost 3, and of just 34 years of age. Vis-a-vis somebody who is just about 26. I'm talking of Anthony Daniel Dubois, is just 26 years. He has gotten a total of 23 fights in his belt, won 21 and lost just 2. So it's going to be a very exciting bout to look forward to on the 21st of September.
Yes,
and as it stands now, every eyes will be on Wimbledon come 21st of September, because either of them who actually clinches that title will actually be eyeing a unification bout against the potential winner between Tyson Fury and Usyk again.
So, which is actually a big one for Anthony Joshua, and I know he's preparing for this particular fight against Daniel Dubois come September 21st. All right, let's leave the boxing story and let's go straight to some Paris Olympic stories. How Team Nigeria is getting prepared for the games. That is just. We have 29 days to Paris 2024 Olympic Games. So the counting down has started in earnest, and we are looking at Team Nigeria individual sports and some of the team sport. But today we'll be looking at one athlete, that is Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, African champion for the 3rd time. He gave us the first gold medal at the African Athletics Championship in Cameroon. But the story is Enekwechi has podium finish in shot put. He's a shot putter, and this time around he said he wants to finish on the podium, either gold, silver or bronze at the Paris Games.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I think we'll have to allow the young man to set goals for himself. And if his desire and his goal is to have a podium finish, I think that is a welcome development. Overall, I think Team Nigeria is doing so well in Cameroon right now. We're totally having, I think we have over 120 medals so far, and out of it, which we have about 47 gold medals and about 30 something silver, and of course we also have about 40 bronze medal or thereabouts. So in all, I think Team Nigeria is doing so well in the ongoing trials in Cameroon. But the most important thing is that, okay, we have just very limited time to prepare for the Olympics, and this is one of the key areas in which these athletes are utilizing to prepare and ensure that they have a very good showing at the Olympics. Quite a while now, we've not actually won any individual gold medal at the Olympics after the heroics of the 1996 Atlanta team. So I think this is the right time for us to write our name back again in the annals of the Olympics. And the only way to do it is to ensure that these athletes are encouraged, motivated. We don't want to hear stories about what happened in the last Olympics, where in Japan, all manners of negative stories were emanating from the camp. I hope this time around we have learned our lessons. The Nigerian Olympic Committee should be up and doing. The Ministry of Youth and Sport should collaborate very closely with the Olympic Committee so that we will have a very decent showing.
But for Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, what do you fancy his chances this time around of coming back with a medal at all in shot put?
Well, the reality is this: when most of these athletes perform well at the African continent, Chukwuebuka might be able to really do well in the African country, but he's going to go compete against the best of the best across the world. I think self-belief is very key to this now, and I'm sure he has self-belief that he has these set goals that he wants to have a podium finish. And with that kind of mentality, I think it's a positive one. And I hope that with that kind of mindset, all we need to do is to encourage him in all areas we can to ensure that he does what he's set out to do. But I don't really want to because I don't really want to put my money to say we cannot or we can, but let us just watch and see how things will span out, because 1, 2, 3 days in the life of a sportsman is quite a long time. So a lot can still happen between now and then. Those who is going to compete against, some of them might just be in the right frame of mind to compete well against him. he too can also be in the best frame of mind to do justice to what he has been training all this while for. But in any case, what is important is that he has a very positive mindset, and which I'm very happy he has. Because if you have that winning mentality, you just have to give the best. But if you don't have that winning mentality, you are even defeated before stepping onto the turf. So I think that is a positive mindset. I think we should be able to encourage him.
Yes, that is a positive mindset. He's ranked number 9 in the rankings for the men's shot put. But let's see how far he can go at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Like he said, he's having that positive mindset of finishing at the top, maybe the top 3, top 2, they're right there at the Paris Games. All right, let's leave that story. We are still looking at the Paris stories that concerns Team Nigerian, but this time around is a bit of mixed feelings for us in the beach volleyball. For the second time trying, they lost that ticket to Egypt, but at the end of the day, there's a consolation for this team after 2 of our Nigerian players finishing at the top 2. They were the rankings. They finished at the top 2. The duo of Pamela and Exeter finished at the top 2 of that rankings. If you can have the rankings on the screen, but the thing is, they lost that ticket, the Olympic ticket, to Egypt after beating Cape Verde in the semi-final. Then it's quite, like I said, it's a mixed feeling for this particular federation, that is Nigerian Volleyball Federation. For the second time again, we are losing the Olympic ticket to another country. In Tokyo 2020, we lost the ticket, and this time around, we are losing the ticket to Egypt.
Well, I think what we should be actually looking at, let's have retrospective. Why are we always doing this, or why is this always happening to us? The truth of the matter is that the culture of the Egyptians in terms of sport is very, very nice. I think I had the privilege of stepping into the soil of Egypt in 2000, precisely 2000. Yes, I remember vividly, in November. And in that instance, what I noticed about the educational system was quite very wholesome. Right from the grassroots level, I mean, I'm talking about from the kindergarten level, or where we call nursery in Nigeria. We do have a football or sport culture in the Egyptian system. So every Egyptian knows which sport he has to go into right from that infancy. So it is always something that they grow up with. And that is why it's not surprising that the Egyptians are always dominating when we come to the African continent in terms of sports. But then, here we are doing the best we can. I think we just have to up our game and maybe insist that we can do better than what we're doing. Maybe one day we'll get into there. But then, the truth of the matter is that if we want to really break through these barriers, we must have to make sure or do everything we can to ensure that we catch them young. That culture of getting it at the grassroots is just what is really lacking with us. And that is why we're always struggling. We always try all we can to say that it's when we come to competition that we're running helter-skelter. But the culture of getting these athletes from the grassroots is just not there. So tell me, how many volleyball competitions do we organize in a year? How many volleyball competitions have you been hearing that Nigeria has been participating in international friendlies? These are the issues. The Egyptians have competitions upon competitions, and that is where they are having that edge over us. So if we want to equally compete at that topmost level, we must do the needful. I think that is just the secret. But that is nothing to worry about. I think we will get there if we really put our hands to it.
Yes, if we put our hands to it, but I can tell you, Dan, that Nigerian Volleyball Federation is one of the most organized and vibrant federation we have in Nigeria. It's just that the luck was not on the side of these guys because they actually camped early, and a lot of competition have been going on with the Nigerian Volleyball Federation. But let's quickly look at the rankings. As you can see on the screen, we have Mawa and Douala, who are from the Egyptian who defeated Nigerians, have 600 points, and they are number 1. And then Pamela and Exeter, our own Nigerian player, have 540 points right there to come second. And then we have Daha and Yaki of Morocco with 480 points in the 3rd position. We have Lou and Jani of Cape Verde. We have Mozero and Benitha. We have Paul and Bonnet. We have Makola and Tu of Kenya. We have J. Yi and Toku of Ghana. And then we have Isautu and Ginado of Gambia. We have Jamen and Kango of Benin Republic. And we have our Nigerian also, Rekiatu and Sadautu, who occupied the number 11 position on the rankings with 300 points. And we have Irina and Ungo of Cameroon in the 12th position. So it's a good thing that Nigeria came second, but despite that, we lost the ticket, but we can hold our head up high. At least 12 of our players make the top two in the best teams at the beach volleyball qualifiers for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. All right, let's leave that story. Let's go straight to the glass house where the news is featuring in after the news was flying. But right now, that rumor has been debunked by the authorities of the Nigerian Football Federation that yes, there was no contact with Hervé Renard as regards Super Eagles job. Dan, the thing is, for the Super Eagles job, it is one of the hottest jobs in the world right now, if you ask me. But right now, NFF has debunked the rumor that, yes, former African champion, that is the AFCON champion with Zambia, that is Hervé Renard, that they don't have any thing to, as in no contact between Hervé Renard and the NFF.
Well, I want to believe that maybe I just want to respectfully disagree with that comment when you say that the Super Eagles job is the hottest. Which world-class coach you want to actually take up the Nigeria teams right now? Or put it the other way around, hypothetically, are we even ready to equally go for such world-class coaches? So those are the hypothetical questions we should be asking ourselves. But be that as it may, when I look at the whole scenario playing out, it just reminds me of what happened before the appointment of Nidi George. We had a coach who went to the Nations Cup. I'm talking of Pasero, who actually was giving us the signs that we gave him a target that he might continue or might just walk away from the job. We never made contingency plans. And of course, we saw the result at the qualifiers. And here we are again. We all know that AFCON qualifier is coming up by September, right? Yeah. But as we speak right now, we have not made any effort to ensure that, okay, if Hervé Renard is not in the radars, who actually is the NFF looking forward to? Most so we all know that the arrays of Nigerian football stars in Europe will be going back by May, and of course the European League will be in the thick in thick action. So are we really expecting to see that when our coaches, our players are back to Europe and playing? Who is the coach in charge of the national team that will be going out there, monitor these players, scout the players, and ensure that we have a team that can be able to prosecute our AFCON team before we talk about the resumption of the qualifiers, God willing, next year? So these are the issues. So it's not enough to just deny that we're not interested in this man. Who are you then interested? That is the question that most Nigerians wants to answer. Are you having any plan towards hiring a coach in the nearest foreseeable future? What are the plans? Tell Nigerians what you have in mind. If that is not the person you have in mind, who do you have in mind? How soon are we expected to see a new technical advisor or a manager for the national team? I think those are the most silent and important questions you should be asking at this point. It's not a question of just denying whether we are not interested on this person or the other. As a country of this magnitude or a nation of this caliber, we shouldn't just be finding it difficult to hire a coach if we really put our minds to it. But then, this is Nigeria. So many funny things happened, and nobody's held accountable. And that is why things happen the way they do. Because I cannot fathom why somebody will be saying we are not interested in a coach. Well, yes, it's quite okay by saying so. But then the question is, if you're not interested in that coach, who are you interested? Is there any plan on the table right now as we speak that Nigeria wants to hire a foreign technical advisor, or you're going back to hire another local coach? What really are the plans you have on the table?
Okay, what are the plans? Dan, still dwelling with the Super Eagles. Why I said it is the hottest job right now on the continent of Africa and in the world. If you look at, we have the stars, we have the talent. Don't you think if we get someone who can actually get the best out of these players, we can go back to that, we can have that same pedigree we had in 1994, where we were ranked number 5, the 5th best team in the world. Don't think if we get somebody who can handle this team properly, we're not going to do well.
Well, let me ask you the same question. Maybe sorry for doing this, but the journalist in me is actually coming off right now. Let me ask you, 1994 you are referring to, was it actually a world-class coach that was able to turn around the fortunes of Nigeria? The answer is capital no. Whoever did that was an unknown quantity that came into Nigeria. He was given an opportunity and he was able to turn things around. So it's not a question of maybe going for a world-class coach, but you must be seen to go for a coach, whether foreign or a local coach. Let the football house go, or the football managers go out and tell us what they have in mind. That is all I'm saying. And then talking about Nigeria being, a country that we are actually in a dilemma right now, because as we speak now, we don't know if any of these big coaches are interested in coming. 90% of the coaches that have been touted to come to Nigeria right now are coaches that have either been rejected in one African country or the other, or coaches that do not have jobs right now. Those are the coaches, leftover coaches. Let me use the word. Sorry for using that word. It's not derogatory anyway. But again, they are more or less like leftover coaches that are not engaged right now. We had windows where we're supposed to have gone for the best of the coaches, but did we utilize those opportunities? Of course, the answer is no, we didn't. So the question is, if they are not interested in Harvard Renans, who are they interested? Let me ask that question for the uptenth time. Who are they interested?
Okay, who are they interested in? NFF will actually answer that question, but let's see how it goes, because Harvard Renard is one coach who understands African football, has been championed twice on the continent of Africa with Zambia in 2012. If we remember that, Zambia won the Nations Cup. So if Nigeria goes for him, right now he's still engaged with the French national women's team, that is the women's Le Bleu. Let's see if he's going to leave the women's team, maybe after Paris Olympic, and come down to Nigeria to coach the Super Eagles. But if eventually the Super Eagles can get him, I think I'll be one of the happiest person seeing Harvard Renard coaching the Super Eagles. He can get the best out of our players. All right, let's leave the NFF and let's still talk about our national team, our senior national team. But this time around, we'll talk about the women. Let's go straight to the Super Falcons, and we'll talk about one player. It's a good news that she's back from injury and she's up and running. That is Ashley Plumter. Super Falcons to get Plumter boost ahead of games. This lady is one lady that switched allegiance from the Three Lions women of England to play for the Super Falcons of Nigeria, and ever since she donned the green-white jersey for Nigeria, she has been fantastic with the team.
Well, Ashley Plumter is one of the players that you can always say that is bringing quality to steadify that national team or the Super Falcons. I'm happy that she's been to the Olympic, because when you look or you cast our mind back, the last time we appeared, or the female national team appeared at the Olympic, was in 2008 precisely. And ever since, 16 years down the line, we've never had any appearance at the Olympic. So this is an opportunity for the best legs that Nigeria will really assemble to go to the Olympics. And I think she's one of the players that got injured around March or so. And luckily enough, she's coming through the injury. And of course, if we're able to take her to the Olympic, I'm very sure that she will add quality and add some stability to that team. And of course, we need to do well at the Olympics, because the last outing the team had at the World Cup was quite very fantastic. We never lost any match within regulation time. So this time around, if we go to the Olympic, we are not going there as an underdogs. Everybody will be looking out for Nigeria. So even if we don't get the gold medal, let us go within the medal reach and see if we can have a podium finish through football. Since the male cannot do it, let's hope that the female can be able to put smiles on our faces.
Yes, if the guys cannot do it, let's hope that the women can do it. Our women can become the number one, the first African women's team to win the Olympics and follow the footsteps of Atlanta 96 squad when we won the gold medal in United States of America in Atlanta 1996. The likes of Kanwanko, Daniel Mokachi, the Bull. We remember that game against Brazil. It was a fantastic one. That game still remains in the annal of history to date, what we did to the Brazilians in that particular game. The Samba boys, Bebeto was crying on that particular night. All right, let's see if the Super Falcons can get us that gold medal in the women's football event after we disappointingly, our under-23 team, they didn't qualify for the Paris Games. All right, let's leave that story quickly and go straight to the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. But we'll be looking at this particular story because this is where part of the show this morning. We'll be looking at this particular story with close eyes and look at how prepared our athletes are for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. We talked a little about it with Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, but now we're going to look inward. We're going to look into it. Nigerian athletes, how prepared are they for the Paris Games? And that is where we'll be going our Team Nigerian performance at the African Athletics Championship so far. Dan, you made mention that today is the last day of events at the African Athletics Championship in Cameroon, but Nigeria has been imperious with their outing. Chukwuebuka Enekwechi getting us the first goal of the event over the weekend in shot put, and that was followed by other athletes in discus. It was Nigerian all through, Chomo Onyekwere, Ashley Anumba and co getting all of the medals, first, second and third in discus through, and also in a javelin, 4x100 meters. So I think Nigeria has put up a very strong showing at the African Athletics Championship in Cameroon.
Yeah, this is more or less like a replica of what just happened at the All African Games that was held in Ghana, where Egypt topped, Nigeria came second. I think it's almost a replica of what is happening again in Cameroon at Douala precisely. But the truth of it is that our athletes are actually up and doing, very, very, very active right now. And all we pray between now and the commencement of the Olympic for those who are going to the Olympic is injury-free, so that most of them can be able to really put in their best. Like I said earlier, we have not really won individual medals, gold medals at the Olympics after the heroics of Choma Junwa. So we are looking forward to seeing some very bright athletes we have right now, finishing up with some medals so that when they retire, they can look back and say, well, they are actually national heroes who have actually done the country proud. So the Nigerian Olympic Committee, who actually is the body saddled with the responsibility of taking these athletes to the Olympics, should be able to be supported very, very well. And of course, the Minister of Sport, yes, I do know that the minister has been up and doing, but I hope he can do more. This is going to be his first litmus test as a minister. At the end of his tenure, he will look back and see if he has been able to deliver some gold medals or some medals during the Olympics to Nigeria. That's what will be judged by. After all, you just make reference to the Kano Wankos and others in Atlanta 94. Why? Because of those, yes, that 96 still remains perhaps one of the high points of our sporting achievements in the annals of Nigerian sport history, because of the athleticism and of course the heroism and the pride that these athletes brought to the country. So we should try to do all we can to support and encourage these current athletes as they go to the Olympics. Olympics is the biggest sport fiesta on earth. So anybody going to the Olympics is having just one thing in mind: to win medals. Then we must also create the enabling environment for them to achieve that feat. So I think all hands must be on deck if we really want to do well at the Olympic. Olympic is not for the boys, it's for the men.
Okay, what do you make of our performance at the African Athletics Championship in Cameroon? Because that is what we're looking at. You made mention of the minister before, but let's look at our performance generally from day one. Like I mentioned from the onset, Chukwuebuka Enekwechi was the first athlete to get us a medal, and which is gold in shot put. And ever since, we've been raking in medals at the championship. So what do you make of their performance so far? That is the performance of Team Nigeria putting together in athletics, in some of the field events right there. Sebrume also coming tops in long jump.
Yeah, I'm not surprised if Sebrume and others were actually just at the top of their games. But the truth of the matter, like I said earlier on, so far, Nigeria has won over 120 medals in the ongoing the African Athletic Championship taking place in Douala, Cameroon, and just slightly tailing behind the Egyptians, and then South Africans are on our heels, quite right. But the truth of it is that we are not surprised at the individual performance of some of these athletes. What we're looking forward is that can they replicate and perhaps notch it upper, and when they get to the Olympics, so that we can be able to see these athletes performing at their optimal best, so that we can be able to say, okay, we can get 1 or 2 medals from these areas. It's one thing to win in the African continent, then it's another thing to go to the world stage and get medals. But with the right motivation, I think nothing is actually impossible. So my take in all this is that in Cameroon, we have seen our athletes shining like the bright morning star. We have seen them doing well. We have seen them actually coming to the party. But replicating this at the bigger world stage is what we're saying. Of course, some of these athletes have done it at the World Indoor Athletic Championships and other things. So can they do it at the Olympics? And the answer, I believe is yes, they can do it, but we must give them all the necessary support. So far in Cameroon, we have not heard of any major injury apart from that scare by our poster girls, Toby Amosu. But again, all that, at least thank God, everything ended well. So we want to see these athletes physically, medically, mentally, psychologically put at the best frame of their mind so that we can be able to go there. At the end of it all, we are sure of getting some medals if we're really able to give them the right environment to operate.
If we're able to give them the right environment to operate. Yes, you made mention of Toby Amuson. It was a scare for us at the beginning where she was not declared not fit. She fell ill, but at the end of the day, she was part of that team, the likes of Yakpo Benyen team, God bless, bringing home the 4x100 meters women relay race title. They won gold, and she was the one that ran the anchor leg. You saw on that video how she powered to the finish line, Toby Amuson. Now, all eyes will be on her. For Toby Amuson, let's look at her quickly personally. Going to the Olympics, how prepared do you think this lady is? I know she has been doing she ran one of the fastest time in the hurdles for this year. That was at the Jamaica Invitational.
Yeah, but we just know that Amuson has the capacity and the ability to make us proud. Then we must have to equally encourage her. When I use the word encourage her, it's like I'm overemphasizing the word. But the reality is this: it's not just financial inducements. No, we need to watch what she eats, how she trains, and all the necessary support she needs psychologically to excel. Because remember, there was a scare too that she was to be banned, she was not to be banned, and stuff like that. I mean, all those are things that will now play out at the Olympics. She's going to compete against some of those people. And especially, I don't want to mention any, this is a national television station. I don't want to mention names of some countries that will be making Amuson their targets. And so we have to do everything we can to protect her, to ensure that she's shielded from the negative spotlight in the international media. These are the things we need to do as a country. So every Nigerian sport journalist, every sport administrator must come and ensure that Amuson is protected, so that at the end of it all, if she wins a medal for Nigeria, she's not winning only for herself, she's winning for the pride of this country. So I think that is the area that I think we need to do.
Okay, that is the area that you think we need to do. For Toby Amuson, she will be there at the Paris Olympic Games, and it was good news for us, for her, at the end of the day after that scare of illness at the African Athletics Championship in Douala, Cameroon. She was part of that quartet that brought home the gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay women's race. As you can see on the screen right now, Team God bless, Yakpo Benyen and co were there. They did us proud, and we were able to come back home with the gold medal in that particular race. Dan, quickly, as you can see on the screen, I think the second leg ran by, I think, Team God bless was a fast one. If you see how she powered through, and she was able to catch up. And Toby Amuson did her best in the last leg, as you can see on the screen, to bring home the gold. The Liberian girl was chasing her down, but she was able to get to the finish line, and you saw the Liberian girl leaping.
Yeah, you know, these are the issues we're talking about. These are issues of technicality. So the technical department must have to study, because we must equally look at the strengths and weaknesses of some of the major teams will be competing against at the Olympics now. So we need to go back to the drawing board. The technical people must have the necessary videos of all the key athletes that will be competing in this release. So we must be able to study them, look at the strengths and weaknesses of each of the athletes, and ensure that we'll be able to work on them before we go to the Olympics. By so doing, I don't have any doubt in my mind that this team has the potential of winning at least a medal for Nigeria.
Okay, you don't have any doubt in your mind that this team can actually win a medal, a gold medal for Nigeria, and which I also share in that plight, because the way our athletes are doing right now in the world in their individual races, not talk about the team race, they have been fantastic. Toby Amuson, we have Favor Philly, the fastest woman in Nigeria right now in the 100 meters race, 200 meter, and then you talk of Rosemary Chukwuma, you talk of Favor Ashe, we have Shakiri and Co. All of them so fantastic this year in the NCCA in America, coming down to the national trials in Benin City. Putting all of this together, I think our athletes will do well when the Paris come calling in 29 days time in France. And also we know that we also have a team sport. The Super Falcons will be going there for the women's football event, where we have the world powers in our group. We have Brazil, we have Spain, world champion, and we have the Asian superpowers Japan in our group, that is in Group C of the Paris Olympic women's football event. All right, let's leave Cameroon and go straight to Europe. And quickly, there were games last night. The good thing is we are going to have 3 teams that will qualify as best losers. But as it stands right now, it was not the kind of game expected from the 3 Lions of England in that yesterday game in Group C. And both games ended on a goalless affair. England and Slovenia ended on goalless, though England topped the group to go through, followed by Denmark. And it was also a goalless draw between Denmark and Serbia. Then for the 3 Lions of England, a lot of persons say they are not looking like a team that is ready to win the Euros this year. They were finalists in 2020. They lost to Italy via penalties, but everybody thought they would come back and do so well, but the signs are not there.
Well, this is a young team. We are with a pocket of experienced players here and there. But the English team is such a team that you cannot really write off, especially now they're struggling to come out of the group stage. The best of every competition is when we get to the knockout stage. That is when we begin to see the character of the teams. So I don't want to say much about the English team. They might not really be playing so well. Southgate must be cracking his head to know what really is going on with this team. They are full with stars, or the team has a lot of stars to really play around with. But the fact now is that in the English media, there is this talk about who should have been in that plane to Germany and who was not there. But that does not really take away anything from all the players that were able to make it to Germany. I want to believe that England still has what it takes to really go far in the competition. So let us not write them off. Group stage matches are very scrappy, very, very technical, because everybody wants those 3 points to ensure that they progress in the competition. So the English team has done enough at least to progress to the next round. Let's watch and see what they will come to with in the second round, and that is the knockout stages. So maybe at that point we'll be able to see if really they are serious contender or pretenders in this competition.
Okay, let's go straight to Group D. It was in fact, a surprising result. Netherlands, the Dutch team, lost 2-3 to Austria. France and Poland played 1-1 also. It was actually a surprising result coming from Group D, most especially Netherlands against an Austria team that lost their first game to France. And with that victory, Austria topped the group ahead of France, world champions. It was a surprising one. And in Nigeria, they call Ralf Ragnick the PHE coach, but the PHE coach is doing something spectacular with the Austrian national team.
Well, they were pushed to the wall. They needed that win, and I'm sure the Orange guys, the Orange gang has always been on that perennial underachievers when it comes to the big stage. But I hope that they'll be able to pick this up for the fact that they've squeezed themselves through somehow. So I really don't see that it's going to be much to take about. But the Austria, I must congratulate them, because this is what it takes to come to competition, especially when you're in a group where you have Netherlands and France. And you just have to win against one of the big teams to qualify. So you just have to take your chances, and they did that. And of course, we saw the results. So you see, it's a question, like you said now, we're talking about Ragnar as a PhD coach, but the reality is that sometimes the players will go all out to ensure that they defend their national color. And of course, this is what we have seen in the Austrian team. They have done all they can to see that they get these 3 points off Netherlands. And the Dutch could not just come perhaps to the party. And at the end of it all, the 3 points they've gotten has taking them to the summit of that place. The advantage in this is this: when you top a group in a competition like this, of course, you might just technically avoid the top dogs in the next stage. So it is a good thing they have done that. But again, this competition is still too early for us to begin to predict who is going to go win, who is not going to win, who is going home next. Of course, we are seeing those who are falling by the wayside, not really people that were expected to go at the expense of some others. But Netherlands, well, I think they still have another chance, so they can still prove their mental in the course of the competition. This is a wake-up call perhaps to them. But for Poland, I really feel France should have done better than what they did.
Yeah. Okay, France should have done better than what they did. They missed a lot of chances, but kudos to the Polish goalkeeper, because he was at the end of everything that was thrown at him yesterday in that particular game. Kylian Mbappe, Dembele, I think the goalkeeper was fantastic to actually keep Poland in that particular game. All right, let's leave Euro. Netherlands still have a chance to qualify as one of the best losers, but Austria topped that group D, and France follows second, but Poland has nothing. I think that is the end of the road for the Polish team in Euro 2024. Let's go straight to the Copa America, where also the competition, the 2024 Copa America, is ongoing, and Brazil surprisingly starting their Group D opener against Costa Rica on a goalless draw. But for the game in Group A, the second game in Group A, Peru lost to Canada. Canada, after they lost their first game to Argentina, they came back, and in their second game against Peru, it was 1-0 in favor of the Canadian team. And Argentina also, in the early hours of this morning, that game between them and Chile, it was 1-0 in favor of the Argentines. So Argentina getting their second win in Group A. That means they have 6 points and they've qualified to the next round already. But for Canada, they still have everything to play for in their last game against Chile. Peru will be playing Argentina in the last game of Group A. And then for Group D, Brazil started their own game on a goalless affair against Costa Rica. A lot of dramas in that particular game, and as it stands right now for the Brazilian team, the Samba boys of Brazil, they just need to get their win in their second Group D game. The Copa America is also ongoing, as the Euro also is going, and this is what sometimes we are clamoring in Africa when the leagues are on break. We should also have the African Cup of Nations up and running, so that we will not be switching our attention to watch the European competition as they are playing theirs. We also will be playing our own. Everybody will be glued to their various TV sets to watch their own darling country doing battle in all of this competition. But congratulations to Argentina, making it 2 wins out of 2. And for Canada, after that disappointing loss to Argentina, because they actually played better in that game against the Argentines in their first game, that's for the Canadian team. At least they have to put that loss behind them, coming back to stun Peru in their second game in a 1-0 victory for the Copa America. All right, we lost Dan. If he's ready, he will be joining us back. All right, let's leave the Copa America and quickly look at some transfer stories on the show. Okay, let's quickly look at some transfer stories on the show. Let's start with this one from Tottenham. They are actually looking at one player in the colors of at the Selhurst Park. Both teams are in London. Tottenham show interest in Crystal Palace forward Eberechi Eze, who is with the Three Lions of England in Germany for the Euro 2024. Fantastic player. He's of a Nigerian descent, but the thing is, if everything goes by, he can just land at the other side of London, playing for Tottenham come next season. But the valuation right now is what will be scaring Tottenham away from actually purchasing Eberechi Eze from Selhurst Park. He's a fantastic player, a good midfielder. If he can join the White Hart Lane boys, it's going to be a very good one for Iberichi Eze. So let's see if that interest from Tottenham will actually turn to something good for the Crystal Palace star. All right, let's look at these. Another one is also in London, a London team. Arsenal king of PSV Eindhoven striker Johan Bakayoko. He plays for Netherlands, but he's of an African descent also. But right now, Arsenal are looking to beef up their front line, who is going to be playing behind the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Bukayo Saka, who plays from the wing side, and they are looking for another striker who can actually, alongside Nketiah in the Nketiah and co. Fabio Vieira is there, so they want to see how they can beef up their team come next season, where Arsenal will be playing in the UEFA Champions League. So a whole lot. Arsenal is trying to get a lot of players after backing up, after Benjamin Seseko couldn't go to Arsenal. They couldn't get that guy to their side, to Emirates Stadium. But right now, they are switching attention to this young striker who is of 25 years of age, Johan Bakayoko. Let's see if Arsenal can actually price these PSV assets away from the Netherlands. He plays in the Eredivisie in Netherlands. All right, let's look at this one also, but this time around also in London. We are looking at 3 London teams, but this time we are looking at a player who might just be leaving London, entire England, going to Germany. Bayern Munich remain in pursuit of Fulham midfielder João Palhinha. He's with the Selecao, that is the Portuguese national team right now in Euro 2024. But Bayern has always shown interest in this guy, and they are doing everything within their power under their new manager, that is Vincent Kompany, to see if they can get João Palhinha to come and play for the Bavarians. But the asking price, the price tag, that is the valuation, the buyout clause of João Palhinha is at £60 million. And for Bayern Munich, they are not really ready to match up that release clause of £60 million. If Fulham would definitely lower the valuation of João Palhinha, then maybe the business might just go on, and we would definitely see João Palhinha donning the red jersey, that is the Bavarian jersey, come next season. All right, that is where we'll be leaving it on the show, 360 Sports. We're sorry that Dan couldn't continue with us because of some signal issues from his end, and we hope to have him on our subsequent edition on 360 Sports from Trust TV. Say thanks for watching. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.